Let's go make this precious beach bag. But first, always remember to share this so it will save to your profile and you can find it when you're looking for it again later. I started out with 24 5" by 5" squares. Now, I have a layer cake is what I was working with, so I took the 10" by 10" squares and cut them in half and in half again. The first thing we're going to do is lay our bag front and bag back out like we want it to look. It's going to be 4 across and 4 down. But I'm just using these 2 prints, so I'm going to sew 6 rows like this. And actually what I'm going to do is chain piece mine. I'm going to sew 12 sets of these, and then I'm going to sew those 12 sets together right here, and that's going to make 6 rows. But you sew yours any way you want to, and you can use a bunch of different fabrics. You don't have to use just the same 2 like I'm doing. It's just what I opted to do. Now I'm sewing them pretty side to pretty side, straight stitch, 1/4 inch seam, and I'm back stitching when I start and when I stop, even though I'm chain piecing them. I know lots of people don't, but my grandma scared me, and she said if I didn't back stitch, my stuff would fall apart. So if you're asking me, the answer is yes, I'm always back stitching. This fabric is from the Coastal collection. This is the fabric that Craig Conover just released that I'm currently obsessed with. I love the colors, how they go together, everything about it. I'm piecing together almost every part of this quilt. I'm piecing the front and piecing the back, and I'm piecing the crab and the background of the crab. But listen, you can make this quilt with solid pieces of fabric. You don't have to piece anything you don't want to piece. So if the piecing is intimidating, just cut it out of 1 piece of fabric and it'll be super cute, I promise. Okay, so I've sewn 12 sets together. Now I'm going to sew these 12 sets together and have 6 rows. So I'm just going to put 1 set and 1 set. I'm going to lay them pretty side to pretty side, making sure that I'm sewing an opposite block to an opposite block. And I'm going to sew these together, and then I'm going to have my 3 rows for the front of my bag and the 3 rows for the back of my bag. If you don't want to piece any of your bag, just cut 1 piece for the front and 1 piece for the back, both of them 18 inches by 18 inches. And if you do want to piece the front and the back of your bag, but you're using different size pieces, all you need to do is make sure when you're finished, you have 1 piece for the front that's 18 by 18 and 1 piece for the back that's 18 by 18. I have 6 rows. I'm going to go iron mine. You go iron yours. I'll be right back. I'm back. Now, I have 6 rows. I'm going to sew them like this on one side and like this on the other side. You see how I have like a checkerboard kind of print? I'm going to put 1 row next to the other row, pretty side to pretty side, straight stitch, 1/4 inch seam, back stitching when I start and when I stop. And I'm going to sew 3 rows together for the front and then 3 rows together for the back. I have both this gorgeous fabric, the Coastal collection, and this crab template linked in the caption if you're looking for either one of these. But listen, you can make this bag out of any fabrics. You can make it out of holiday fabrics and use a different holiday template. I'm using a layer cake to make this bag, and I used my leftover pieces to make this sweatshirt that you're looking at. And yes, there's a tutorial on it too. Okay, so we have the front and the back sewn. I'm just going to put those to the side for now. They have to be ironed before we do anything else with them, but we're going to have some other stuff to iron, so let's just lay that to the side and we'll iron all at once. Now we're sewing the bottom of the bag, and remember it's those 2.5 by 2.5 inch squares, but we're going to start by sewing 10-inch pieces together, 2.5 inches wide by 10 inches. We're going to sew these together. I need to sew 36 of them. Actually, not 36. Well, it is 36, but I need 4 rows of 9. So I'm going to start by sewing a bunch of 2s together. And I don't really care what fabric's next to each other as long as it's not exactly the same fabric. But you can lay yours out just like you want them to look and then sew those together. I just don't want to do that. But I'm not saying it's a bad idea. If you want to do it, I think it's a great idea. And I'm going to sew these the same way that I sewed those. Straight stitch, 1/4 inch seam, back stitching when we start and when we stop. Craig, the designer of this collection, is the guy that I met at the birthday bash, the one that's on the reality TV show from Charleston. And y'all, he was so nice. He was super, super nice. And his fabric is incredible. I don't need 36 of these. Don't ask me what I was thinking. I have way more than enough right now. Okay, I've got 9 and 9. And I have 4 by 3 times 2, front and back. I'm going to go iron mine. You go iron yours. I'll be right back. Okay, I've ironed my pieces. These are 9 strips, 2.5 by 10 inches that we've sewn together. Now I've ironed them, and I'm going to cut them 2.5 inches wide. I'm folding mine over. I'm confident I can cut them straight enough for me. If you want to cut yours one at a time, that's what I want you to do. If you're a little bit nervous, about cutting them, don't do what I'm doing. Do not ruin a whole bunch of pieces that you've worked so hard on. This is my mat and rotary cutter from Missouri Star Quilt Company. They come in a kit with all of your beginning tools. It comes with a mat, a rotary cutter, and 3 pairs of scissors. Now, you could actually make this from one row of 9 strips because you just need 4 pieces. And I have more than 4 pieces here, but I wanted to make sure that mine were different when I put them next to each other, that I didn't have any that matched going side by side. And I'm gonna make the background of the crab with this pink fabric, so anything I have left over I'll use for that, so it's not a waste. All right, this is what we have: the front of our bag, the back of our bag, and our extra pieces. So I'm going to lay these pretty side to pretty side. I'm gonna sew this one together, and then I'm gonna lay this one pretty side to pretty side, and I'm gonna sew that together. Straight stitch, 1/4 inch seam, back stitching when you start and when you stop, because my grandma said so. If you're doing this with solid pieces of fabric, you can skip all the way through this until the next step, because these pieces together equal 18 by 18. You guessed it, we're gonna iron again. I'm back. Now I'm gonna sew the bottom of my bag to the top of my bag. Pretty side to pretty side, straight stitch, 1/4 inch seam, back stitching when we start and when we stop, because my grandma said so. I'm going to do it to the front of my bag and the back of my bag. I'm making this bag and I'm thinking about Craig. I've watched him since the very first season, and it was crazy surreal to stand in front of him. And y'all, he was way taller than I expected. We're going to iron again. This might be the one last time for the bag part anyway. Now we have the front and back of our bag. Okay, do you see how pretty this one is? I mean, it doesn't match up all the way, but close enough. This one is a little farther off, but I don't care. It'll be fine, I promise. So if yours does not match up perfectly, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. The next thing I'm going to do is I have a piece of cotton batting that I laid down. I'm gonna put my bag front on top of it and flatten it out because I'm gonna quilt this. Now, you don't have to quilt it, you can quilt it, doesn't matter to me. You make it how you like it. For me, I'm gonna stitch down both sides of each one of the seams on the front and the back of the bag. You can quilt it any way you want, or not at all. Okay, so we've quilted the front and we've quilted the back. Now, if you want to add the pocket, and you don't have to add the pocket, or you can add any pocket you want. I'm going to do the same pocket that I did on this bag so I can show y'all. And it's so stinking cute. So the first thing we're gonna do is piece a bunch of blues together so that we can cut it out. Now I've already pieced these. I'm just gonna add a piece to the top and a piece to the bottom because that's about how big it needs to be. And then we're gonna cut our crab out. You don't have to piece this either if you don't want to. You can use a solid piece of fabric and cut your crab from that. The crab applique is available at hometownquiltcompany.com, and y'all, I had the best time making this crab, but there are a few crabs, so if you like one of the other ones better, use it instead. I'm gonna go iron mine, you go iron yours, and I'll be right back. I'm back. I ironed mine, and I went to hometownquiltcompany.com, downloaded the crab template, and cut out my pieces. I have one body, and I have 2 clawy legs. 1, maybe 2, and then I have 8 regular legs. Well, I have a lot more than 8, but we're only using 8. So I have 1 body, 2 claws, and 8 straight, not clawy legs. We're gonna lay our crab to the side because now I'm gonna create the patchwork that's gonna go behind the crab. Do y'all remember we had all these leftover pieces? That's what I'm gonna sew together first. I'm going to sew these to each other, and then we're going to see what we have left that we need to go behind our crab. I'm just going to sew these pretty side to pretty side, straight stitch, 1/4 inch seam, just like the rest of them. I've never seen a blue crab before. I've seen red crabs, that's where we live, but never blue ones. And I guess I've heard of them, but I hadn't really thought about them until I was making this. And I love how y'all are commenting, saying that you live in the Northeast and blue crabs are a thing where you're at. So maybe when I'm up that way, I'll have to have a blue crab. That is, assuming that's a thing. You do eat them, right? Now I'm just gonna open it up and see if my crab, when it's all put together, will fit on it or if I need more. Okay, I think this is gonna fit my crab fine. So I'm gonna go iron this. You go iron yours, I'll be right back. So I have 2 pieces of flannel, and then I have my scrap piece of pink that I pieced together out of all of my randomness. I've ironed it, and now I'm gonna put my crab on it. Oh my goodness, he's so cute. Now I'm going to make sure that my whole entire crab is on top of the flannel, and I'm gonna pin this down, and then I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna straight stitch. I'm gonna straight stitch all the way around him. You can do a zigzag if the fray bothers you. I love the fray and it's all the rage right now, but if it bothers you, don't do it. Just do a zigzag and that'll take care of all of the fraying. Okay, so after I sewed my crab on, I went and sewed just on the outside of him so it would give me a place to cut with my scissors, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I just wanted some of this pink to show, so I'm leaving him like an outline or a background. So I'm going to cut this straight across up here, and that's going to be the top of our pocket. Now you could add some bias tape or something to it if you didn't want the raw edge up there. I don't mind the raw edge, especially because it's got the same raw edge on the front of the crab, but it's your bag. You do it like you want it. Now I'm going to take one side of my bag. It doesn't matter which side because they're exactly the same, and I'm going to lay my crab on here, and then basically I'm just going to go and sew on top of these stitches, except for right here. I'm not going to sew this closed so my hand can go in there for my pocket. And when I'm going to sew all the way around, and then I'm going to come back and add some stitches going this direction. That's going to give some strength to it, so when your pocket is pulled on, it won't come off of your bag. If you're not making the crab a pocket, just sew it all the way around. Or if you're doing a different pocket, just sew where it makes sense. Just make sure you leave a hole for your hand to fit in. Okay, so we've sewn our pocket on. Y'all, this is so stinking cute, and it's a big roomy pocket too. All the things will fit in there. Now we're going to take one part of our bag, the front, we're going to lay it face up, we're going to lay the back face down, and we're going to sew around 3 sides. Straight stitch, 1/4 inch seam, back stitching when you start and when you stop. If you're not piecing your bag together or quilting your bag or adding the crab pocket, this is where you jump in. Just sew your 2 18-inch by 18-inch pieces together on 3 sides. Don't sew the top of your bag shut or you won't have anywhere to put your treasures. We've sewn our front and back together. We're going to take our finger and flatten out the corner like this, and we're going to stitch right across here, and that is about 1.5 inches from the end. We're going to do that on both sides, and that's going to box our corners. After we stitch it, we're going to cut it off. If boxing your corners is intimidating, you can skip this step too. I mean, it's cute, but it's definitely not necessary. Now it's time to do the lining. So we have 2 pieces of fabric, 18 inches by 18 inches. This is going to be the lining. We're going to sew along 3 sides, except we're going to leave a hole so we can turn our bag right side out. I'm going to leave my hole about, I don't know, what is that, 2.5 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches, whatever you want to leave it. I'm going to sew here. I'm going to sew here, across the bottom, and back up the top, back stitching when I start and when I stop. I'm going to sew it with a 1/4 inch seam. I'm going to follow the edge of my fabric with the edge of my presser foot, and I'm not going to look at my needle. We're just going to sew 3 sides, leave the top open and our hole open. We're almost finished with the entire bag. We're going to make the lining, and then we're going to add some straps, and that's going to be it. Now, I have 2 straps that are 28 inches long. Mine are cotton canvas. You can make your own straps if you want to. I'm opting not to. I would like to find my bag, though. What did I do with it, y'all? We're going to take our first strap, and we're going to put it right here, just on the very outside edge of this 5-inch square, and clip it. And then we're going to make sure that it's not twisted, and we're going to do the same thing over here on this outside edge and clip it. Then we're going to do the same thing on the back. We're going to take our strap, fold it, make sure it's not twisted, and we're going to clip it where we want it to be sewn. Then we're going to take the front of our bag and we're going to put it inside the lining of our bag. So we want it inside so that all the pretty seams are together. All of our raw edges are on the outside. We're going to line it up and we're going to sew all the way around. After we do that, we're going to turn it right side out through the hole that we just left. I called it cotton canvas, but it's actually cotton webbing. That's what it is. Kind of like I called this thing a quilt in the beginning of this tutorial, and it's actually a bag. Y'all forgive me. I'm trying. Now we're going to find the hole that we left and pull our bag through it. And what just occurred to me while I was sewing this is that I didn't box my corners. Y'all don't yell at me. I did not box the corners on the lining. If you want to box the corners, I want you to. I could go back and box them now, but I don't want to, so I'm not. But do not yell at me. I know I didn't. I just forgot to do it, but it's okay. I promise. It's fine. Now, we want to check and make sure that all this looks like we want it to. And then we're going to close the hole up that we just pulled our bag out of. So push our lining down into our bag. Bum, bum, bum. Now I'm going to go iron mine. You go iron yours. We want to iron this flat right here so that we can top stitch around the top. And that's going to keep the lining inside the bag and make it lay really pretty and flat. I'm back. Now our last step is to top stitch all the way around and we'll have the cutest beach bag ever. Take the few minutes to top stitch. I promise it makes all the difference in the world. When I first started sewing, I didn't do a lot of top stitching. I was so glad to get to the end of a project. It wasn't necessary and I didn't want to do it, but it makes all of the difference in your projects. And I'm not telling you to do extra steps because I don't like extra steps. Oh my goodness, y'all, it's so cute. Look at how precious our bag is. Oh, this is adorable. Man, this is so cute. My new favorite beach bag. My name is Tammy. I'm your favorite sewing teacher, and I would love for you to come sew with me.